Guys, it's finally here. After over a year of no new content, at least official content, and no new footage, we finally have the first official trailer for the Batman. And boy, is it a doozy. There are so many cool details, so many things to talk about. So I say, let's just dive right in because I am so excited to talk about this trailer. It is perfect. It is awesome. So let's get into it. The trailer starts out by the Riddler being in some sort of diner and the GCPD attacking him, going to arrest him. I cannot be the only person who thought about Arkham Knight during this sequence. Gave me huge reminders of Paulie's Diner and that whole opening sequence in Arkham Knight, which I love so much. Great game, should definitely check it out if you do not play it already. But when we see good old Edward Nashton, he's in his normal everyday clothes, not in his new Riddler getup. We do actually only, though, get a really brief glimpse of this in the actual trailer, only a couple of seconds. We don't really see him in that classic suit that we saw him in the original teaser trailer. A lot of people are upset he's not rocking his classic look. I personally am a big fan of the 1966 Batman, so I wanted him in that sort of suit. But frankly, I really don't think it fits this movie. It really fits Arkham series, and of course it fits Gotham. But frankly, the design of the movie that they picked, the whole ex-military thing, I think really does fit the vibe of this movie, and I'm really excited to see it in action. Then right after the sequence, we see in the background Commissioner Gordon himself, Jeffrey Wright. And boy, do I love his look in this trailer and in this movie as a whole. I'm so excited for his Commissioner Gordon. I think that he is going to nail it. And as he's being pulled away, we see in his coffee cup, of course, a question mark because he is the Riddler. And frankly, I hope this is not the closest we get to seeing Riddler trophies. I need at least one Riddler trophy in this movie. Or frankly, I'm not even kidding. I suffered through these puzzles. I want Robert Pattinson's Batman to at least suffer through one Riddler puzzle and pick up one Riddler trophy. And then we get the first shot of the bat signal, and it looks perfect. You can see it's a normal spotlight, but there's a giant bat signal over it. It looks cool. I am so happy we've got it in this movie. It is integral to the Batman character and a Batman story. And I gotta say, I love that line, fear is a tool, it is a warning to criminals. And then we get a beautiful shot of Robert Pattinson's Batman. My God, just look at that beautiful, beautiful suit. And then I'm sure we all remember Pattinson destroyed that one thug in the last teaser. But guess what he does in this teaser? Guess what? He destroys the entire squad of them. And he just rolls up out of the darkness like Batman does and annihilates them. Takes a bullet to the chest like it's nothing and straight up tases this guy. And this scene is actually pretty integral to me. Because as we see, he is fully brutal and he almost catches himself. Because if you get electrocuted a little too much, you got too many volts running through your system, you can die. And I think it's at that point when he realizes, I want to kill this person. I really, really do. But then he stops because of his code. And I'm really, really hoping, based on the reports that we've gotten, he will not kill in this movie. And it seems that this is one of the scenes to prove it. But he will be tested. He is a really young Bruce Wayne. He is violent. He is angry. He wants to kill people. But the question is, will he? And I hope that he does not. And frankly, I think that he will not in this movie. But he will be tested. And then we get a shot that not enough people are talking about. This blind rolls up and we see a prisoner with a shirt that says Arkham Hospital. Yes, this is confirmation. Arkham Asylum is going to be in this movie. That, frankly, is a huge win for me. I love seeing Arkham Asylum. And based on the whole gothic architecture that we're seeing in this movie, I'm thinking Arkham is going to look great. And then it pans. We see Batman. He is angry. He's pissed at the Riddler. He is unhinged. You can see the rage in Batman's eyes, and I love it. People always talk about, I want white eyes. But if you had those white eyes, you will not be able to see the pure rage he has inside of them. They do in fact say the eye is the gateway to the soul. And Bruce's soul right now is angry and he is pissed. I really can't stress that enough. Batman is pissed in this. He is just brutal. And then we get a brief shot of an explosion. I believe this is going to be the same explosion that we see later in the trailer, as well as in the first teaser trailer from last year, which takes place in that sort of church setting. And then we actually do get some brief dialogue between Batman and James Gordon, in which I believe Gordon says this is a powder keg, and Batman says, and Riddler's the match. Now, I personally think this has to do with the whole Falcone and Maroni subplot. Actually, neither of the teasers have actually explored, but in the first teaser from last year, we see something that says like Maroni drug bust on the wall. But aside from that, we don't really know much about that plotline at all. Like, frankly, I thought for sure we are going to see Falcone in this or Maroni in this trailer, but we didn't. And I'm also really excited though because it does show us that Gordon and Batman are friends and are working together. And if you watch the behind the scenes footage, which I'll be covering in a separate video, probably either Sunday or Monday it'll be up. But in that video, we do see Gordon and Batman walking around together and solving crimes. And then enters Selina Kyle. And she looks gorgeous. She looks perfect. And before we get into her, I need to take a second, guys. Look at this shot. You cannot tell me this is one of the most beautiful Batman shots, beautiful movie shots you've ever seen. Greg Fraser, the cinematographer, thank you so much. Thank you for this. There are so many beautiful shots in this trailer, but I don't know. I'm in love with this one in particular. It's perfect. But as far as Selina Kyle is concerned, she is definitely more than just a pretty face. And I'm really happy because she did express that a lot in interviews and behind the scenes footage, her being Zoë Kravitz, that she wanted us to feel like a real person and just bring this character to life and her to be just a really cool character. Then we actually get two cool shots. We get one of the Penguin, which I'm not sure about the context of this, but he seems to be in some sort of penthouse looking out to the city. But then we also get our very first shot, which I was so happy about, of Andy Serkis as Alfred. And he looks perfect. He definitely looks like the ex-military, old like medic, strong butler. He ain't no frail butler that the whole general public thinks that he is. If you're a Batman fan, you know. Alfred can kick butt, okay? And actually, it does appear that his look is greatly inspired by Batman Earth 1. And then we get this great shot. I just gotta call attention to it. Bruce Wayne rocking some nice sunglasses. Robert Pattinson can never not look good. And then we get one of the coolest scenes in the trailer. And I will say, at first, I was confused between two possibilities of what this is. It is either A, some sort of clue left by Riddler himself, or B, it's actually Bruce Wayne's way of sort of like mapping out all of these clues. But despite on whatever actually setting it is, the purpose still stands, and let's analyze this because there's a lot of cool information here. We see 3 names, and we see 3 clues. Now, first thing is one that we know. You go to the top left, it says no more lives, and it talks about Coulson. It appears that Coulson is referring to District Attorney Gil Coulson, who I believe is going to be killed in this movie, which could also possibly lead into Harvey Dent becoming DA in the future. And then of course there's the clue of no more lies. This being the DA Coulson definitely sort of told lies to the public, maybe about crime or something, or said he was handling the sort of mob bosses, but maybe he was working for them, something like that. Regardless, he probably lied, and that's why he says no more lies, as Riddler has killed him, so he's not going to lie anymore. And then on the bottom right, we see the name Savage, which I'm assuming is referring to the character of Pete Savage, who in the comics is sometimes the commissioner of the GCPD. Because we know right now, Gordon is not the current commissioner. He might become commissioner, and based on this Riddler clue, it appears that Riddler has killed Savage. Now the clue here, or at least near him, says renewal is a lie. The main thing is that I think it's going to be that people cannot change and that people who are bad will always be bad. And then the last name we see is Mitchell, which I believe is referring to Mayor Mitchell, who is the mayor currently. And I believe he also does die in this movie. Pretty much all these people are going to die. Just don't get attached to any of these characters or names that I say. And then last but not least, the big one, the sins of my father. Now, if you have ever played the Batman Telltale games, you know that a big plot point of that is that Bruce realizes his father is not who he seemed and was actually connected to crime. And that's how he amassed his wealth, not through any good means. So it could be that in this movie, they have a similar plot line, that Thomas Wayne was not this upstanding gentleman. And then we get the great line where he says, "I don't care what happens to me," which is just so very Batman, where he just is completely into self-sacrifice, even if it means his own destruction, which is a good and a bad thing when you really do think about it. Then we get some cool Batcat stuff, nothing too like serious plot-wise, but just some beautiful looking shots, which is a constant in this entire trailer. Then that leads us to the next section of the trailer, which there are a bunch of cool fight scenes, which there are a lot of cool details in the background, but I love that there's so many cool fights in this. As Matt Reeves has said, all the fights do feel very personal, and you can get that sense from the trailer. One of my favorite parts is that they feel just like the Arkham games. Batman's using tools, using gadgets, he's using his enemies' weapons against him. It's very smart, very creative, and I'm very happy to see it. Now, as far as where they're fighting in this trailer, it does appear to be what I think is a precursor to the Iceberg Lounge. At first, it looks maybe like a prison cell because of the red lighting, but as you can tell in the background, you can see some sort of drinks, and you can see a bunch of Penguin's thugs. So I definitely think that this is actually going to be a precursor to the Iceberg Lounge. Whether it'll be called that or whether Penguin will own it, that waits to be seen, because we do know this is also a Penguin origin story. So he could own this Iceberg Lounge already, but I think it's rather that he's just going to be a thug right now, and he's going to be taking a lot of interest in this club, wanting to buy it in the future. And we actually do get another scene of Selena Kyle, and it appears she's wearing some sort of wig. I think she's actually disguised in the club, maybe some sort of dancer, some sort of waitress. Then we get actually a really great close-up of Selena's new suit. If you look at her hands, actually, you can see a bunch of cool Catwoman claws, which obviously is very, very integral to the character. Then once again, some really just cool Batcat stuff. Of course, they mention the line, maybe we're not so different, which that is always a constant between them. And then we get this scene where we see Selena jumping off this rooftop, escaping. It appears to be one of two things. Either A, Batman is stopping Gordon from arresting her, or 2, which I think is more likely, Batman is pounding on someone and Gordon's trying to pull him off him, and Selena uses opportunity to escape. And then the next 15 seconds are just pure action. We get this amazing hallway fight scene, which is right up there with the Daredevil scene from the show Daredevil, if you've ever seen it. That's the infamous hallway scene. And just bullets are ricocheting everywhere. He is walking through them like it's nothing. And then we get some more familiar shots, the I Am Vengeance line, which everyone loves so much. And we get to see some cool shots of the Batmobile, which will lead us into our final sequence later. But you can just see the rage on Pattinson's face and just the crazy set pieces that they've made. Then we get this shot of Batman gliding through the city. And if you've been keeping up with the set photos, you know that last year we got some similar ones, which everyone was really excited about because it's like Batman on a gargoyle and jumping off. And it does appear to be that same exact scene. Then we get this shot, which is what I'm assuming is at the end of the movie, because Batman's suit is all dirtied and almost destroyed. Because I think at the end of the movie, he's going to have to get a new suit, not for the final battle, but once the movie has concluded, because I think the next movie he'll have a more sleek looking suit, even though I love the suit in this movie. And if you can actually look very closely, it does appear that the bat signal is either missing or very dirty. I can't exactly tell which it is, but if it was missing, it would just go to the point that his suit is wrecked and he's going to need a new one. Then we get one of our few shots of the Riddler in this trailer, which we don't see much of, as I said before. Then we get this crazy scene of Batman wailing on the sky and Selena is terrified. I love this so much. You can see the rage in Batman's face. He's unhinged and he's just completely out of control. But also, if you look very closely at the bottom of the screen, it does appear that he's actually beating on Riddler. So this isn't some sort of random thug. I think this could be at the end of the movie, or maybe in one of the scenes where he thinks he has Riddler trapped, and then Batman just tries to beat the heck out of him because of all the rage he has towards him, because of all the death he's caused. And Selena is just there in the background, and she looks terrified. And if you know Selena Kyle, she does not scare easily. But regardless, Batman just completely just wails on the Riddler. Then we just get this really cool scene of Pattinson's back, and you know what? It's pretty interesting because I know people have always complained about his physique, that he's not like this big, like buff guy, which he definitely looks more in line with the Batman Year One. But he definitely went on a cut, which helps you look more aesthetic when you don't necessarily have a lot of muscle. And there is actually a pretty cool detail in the background of this photo, which I'll talk more about in my behind the scenes video. But you can see the sort of bust in the background, and it appears to be the same bust from the 1966 Batman, where in that show it actually activated the key to the Batcave. Then we got a scene of Riddler trapped in some sort of room. I think this is in some sort of police lockup. And then we get this crazy scene, which I'm assuming is near the end, but not necessarily at the end. Maybe when they're trying to get Riddler, and maybe it's at a false location, or maybe they're looking for some sort of Riddler trap or bomb, and they're going through it. I'm assuming it's going to be Gotham's either sewers, or maybe it's somewhere underground, because based on the lighting and the darkness, it's got to be underground, at least what I'm imagining. Then we see a cool little note left by the Riddler, "See you in hell." I cannot wait to see it with some sort of Riddler clues and trophies that he leaves behind to lure Batman into his traps and to lead him along this mystery. We see in the background what looks to be this final boss area, which I'm assuming is the final boss area because we see Selena crying, and in the background there's all these green lights, so I'm assuming this is going to be the final Riddler showdown, which looks very Arkham Knight to me. And then right next to each other are these two shots of Selena and Alfred, both looking very distraught and sad. But I don't think these are the same shots at all. I think they're just edited next to each other, and that in the first scene, I think, with Selena, she definitely is looking at Batman or whatever the Riddler has planned. And then in the second one, I think it's probably going to be midway through the movie where Bruce and Alfred are talking, and then they see on the news that Riddler has struck again. And also a cool detail, if you look at Selena's hands, she does have the claws, signifying again this is probably the end of the movie when she gets her final suit. And then we get the final chase sequence where you just see the Batmobile shown of how powerful it really is. Penguin saying, I got you, I got you. And this actually reminds me a lot of the Lego set that we just got, where it looks like Penguin is being chased down by the Batman. But then in this scene, you just see he thinks that he's won, and then boom, out of the fire, the Batmobile comes roaring. And not even just roaring, it comes zooming and bumping that car and knocking it over. And you just see this really beautiful shot of Pattinson walking up to him. And actually, it's really cool. People have been mentioning that, yeah, upside down looks really cool too. But if you flip it like horizontally, look how beautiful that looks. Like that's like a great, great background. Might even make that my computer background, who knows. But it's perfect. And then that final sequence, which turning into the title card, might be one of my favorite transitions I've ever seen. And guys, that's pretty much it. I freaking love this trailer. I had some super high expectations going into it, and I met every single one of them. There are so many great scenes in this trailer, so many things that just feel like the heart of Batman, and it's coming from a group of people who love the character, and I am so excited to watch this project on the big screen. And frankly, we still don't know much about the plot, but despite that fact, so many people are so hyped. I'm so glad to see on social media that people who were against this movie or were iffy about it after the trailer last year and even the trailer this year, they are hyped. They are on the hype train. And I just love seeing so much positivity about a project. And guys, that's pretty much it for this video. I'm going to be talking more about this trailer though and all of DC fandom here on my YouTube channel, but also my Instagram and my TikTok. I post there at least 2 to 4 times a day on TikTok and at least once a day on my Instagram. So make sure you definitely go check that out for daily content. I love talking about nerd stuff, so I'm going to be covering more stuff DC, but also Marvel and Star Wars here and on those platforms. So make sure you go check those out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm so excited for this project. And also, talk to me in the comments about this movie. I love to talk to people about it, so let me know any questions you guys have, things you're excited about. I want to hear about it. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Take care.